Welcome to a guide for ranking up weapons in the new Warzone, covering plunder contracts, kills, and also the details of a fast XP bug that they were quick to partially remove, but some of it's still there. Most of the video will focus on future-proof info though. Starting with a big old table of weapon XP gained in Plunder. It looks like the numbers haven't changed from the old Warzone. I haven't found a contraband in Caldera yet, if they exist. Only an assumption on that one, since none of the other numbers changed. It's only a fun fact anyway, not like you need to know that. A key thing to not miss there, the 1.5 times cash multiplier in the final few minutes of a Plunder match does apply to your weapon XP as well. It's 1.5 times everything. A supply run worth 500 becomes 750, and so on, so make as much use of that time as you can. You get 3 minutes in normal Plunder, and I think 4 minutes in the Blood Money limited time variant of Plunder. Makes that mode a little better, another fun fact. Last bit of general info, Surplus gave me nothing in Warzone. Not for a kill, a contract, a pre-game kill. Never saw any change to weapon XP from Surplus like it does with the 20% for kills in Vanguard. Maybe they fix that at some point. You could run it just in case they do if you want. It's not a super competitive weapon perk slot. On to the new contracts for Caldera Plunder, one being the Big Game Bounty, which gave the same 750 base as a regular bounty for completion, despite being a harder version, but if the bounty is poached by someone else, it gives 250 instead of 150, which is nice because that's most likely going to happen before you get to them. The second new Plunder contract was the Top Secret. What that does is gives you a random contract out of these 5, I think. I haven't seen it give a big game. And when you complete it, it gives 1,000 weapon XP, the highest value there is, which seems like it should be the case for taking a random contract, so I hope that part is intended. Thing is, they've already disabled and removed Top Secret from Plunder because of the next part that probably wasn't intended. Those 2 new contracts were using the contract streak system from the BR, where you get more and more for completing them. That is not a thing for the regular contracts in Plunder, like a supply run gives the flat 500 every time. That means if you get the ball rolling with the streak, you could see some pretty crazy weapon XP drops. And the Top Secret also counted as 2 contracts. It increased your streak by 2 for each one completed. So they removed that contract, but the streak bonus is still a thing currently for the Big Game Bounty. Even if someone else poaches it, that counts as complete and increases your bonus for the next big game you do. Only by 1, but it can stack up with some luck. The person who gets marked is likely to be an aggressive player, a high earner. They might get poached, or if you're playing with an aggressive team, you might be able to complete a couple of them with a high multiplier and get some nice weapon XP. Nothing insane, which is why they didn't disable this contract, I guess, but pretty good. Especially with the Pointsman perk helping you out. I see a lot of confusion around that perk. It doesn't give you a flat more XP per contract, which means it doesn't help with the normal ones in Plunder, like running supply runs. No streak bonus there, it's just going to give you the same 500 every time. As far as I know, all Pointsman does is start you off with 1 contract completed on your streak. So on this list of bonuses, with Pointsman on, you would start from here, getting the 40% bonus on your first contract and continuing up from there. It does also stack with multiple teammates running it. So if you have 3 people with Pointsman, you would start with the 120% bonus for your first contract and then go up 1 at a time from there. That is pretty good though, having your first contract already be over double XP, so even a big game poach by someone else would be worth more than a regular supply run right off the bat. So we can move on from the bug talk. I don't know if or when the contract streak bonus will be removed from big game bounties as well, like whenever they work out the Top Secret and add it back. Hopefully the game-breaking bugs are a higher priority, because big game streaking is nothing crazy. It would be fine if it just stayed this way, and honestly don't feel like you even missed out on the Top Secret thing either. As a solo player, it wasn't even that good or consistent, because everyone figured it out pretty quick. The XP comes up on the screen after all, and that is very accurate, very consistent by the way. So helicopters and those contracts were already pretty hard to get your hands on, let alone getting more than 3 or 4 done in a game. For me, on average, it wasn't even beating out Vanguard multiplayer rates. Only with a coordinated Pointsman farming team could you reach some crazy levels, but even then it took some luck and wasn't around for long at all. So how about the standard contract farming method, where supply runs are the go-to fastest contract? You just go there, boom, done. May not even need to leave the helicopter. Ideally, you have a helicopter for this method. If you can't get yourself one right away, then the second best travel method as a solo is usually... Yep, get up in the air and float to the side to not fall as fast. You won't always get lucky and spawn closer to where you want to go, but floating is about the same speed as a ground vehicle, except you don't have to find one or worry about the terrain. Recon contracts are a decent second option, and then maybe scavengers, but you're spending more and more time on those. Bounties can be good, but not consistent. Even if you're confident in your skill, they could just run away or get poached before you can get there, which isn't worth much. And a most wanted is gonna waste 3 minutes just for 750. That's if you finish it, which isn't guaranteed. Some people will hunt you down. Maybe you want to pick it up and go AFK at the top of an unreachable tower, otherwise pass on that. One final unique tip for contracts: when there's under a minute left and you don't think you'll be finishing anything else, you may as well try to pick up a bounty, ideally big game for the higher poach XP, not only because you might get lucky with a poach, but because when the game ends, if you stick around for a bit, you'll probably hear... Yep, it seems like when the team you were hunting leaves the game, if you wait for them to leave before you, that counts as a bounty poach, and it does actually award the weapon XP for the gun I had out. A poach isn't worth a whole lot, but there's another min-maxing fun fact for you. In summary, for the standard contract method, it's pretty unchanged from old Warzone. If you're being very efficient and you get a lucky game with no helicopters lagging out and crashing, which happened a lot, and plenty of contracts, then maybe you'd be getting 1 contract per minute, which would be an easy to calculate 500 weapon XP per minute, with a bit more thanks to overtime. But that's the high end. That won't be every game. My range of doing it solo was 200 to 550 per minute. Not amazing. If you're farming with a friend though, that is better. You can have one person going to do the contract and one person ready to pick up the next one. That could keep you around or above 500 more consistently. For context, a standard Vanguard multiplayer rate is around 500 weapon XP per minute, but small maps like Ship House can be more like 800 plus. So if you've got that game and don't hate it, it is still generally the faster option. There's also that zombies restarting strat, which isn't great off double XP, but with it, it can rival small map multiplayer since the double XP in multiplayer can run into that throttling issue. No need to get into that here. Now for the final Plunder XP method, simply farming kills. It has huge potential, but it takes luck and skill, and it assumes you're trying to rank up a good weapon that you can actually get kills with, as opposed to trash, which you could level with contracts. Referring back to the XP chart though, a regular kill is 275. Not amazing, but a team wipe kill is 450. Quite good. So the luck that this method relies on is for something like the storage town of old to be recreated. You need a lot of people to be solo queuing into Plunder, either as a way to rank up their weapons, or maybe as a warm-up for BR, and a lot of people do that, but not sure if the community has agreed on a new storage town just yet. Places like the airfield and the peak always seem busy, but are also a bit large and open. The peak can be a bit annoying to keep parachuting to. When things settle in more, feel free to leave a comment if you think people have agreed on the new storage town for weapon grinding. If that happens, where nearly every kill you get is a wipe, then going for kills in Plunder can be incredible XP, has a much higher ceiling than contracts. Just think, every kill is worth nearly the same as completing a contract. If you can get 2 kills per minute, that's already pushing into the highest rates Vanguard has to offer. Any more kills than that, and it's some of the best weapon XP possible. It's just that it relies on you being pretty good at Warzone, and using a good enough gun, and being in a lobby where other people are also going for kills solo. That's a lot of qualifiers, but it's good to know about. Very high potential. That's about it for Warzone Weapon XP in the Caldera update. I know this was only covering Plunder, and sure, you can gain some XP in BR, but I would not consider it viable for nearly anyone, because you don't start with your loadout. You'd have to be an extremely consistent player to always get your loadout on time, which is now later than you could previously, and then go fly through some contracts and kills every game. With a weapon that you still need to rank up, mind you, in BR, where people tend to take their life more seriously. Also, sometimes one of those TDM Rumble type modes is around, but not all the time, like when Clash was brought back on the old map. I did try that for leveling the Vanguard guns. It seems like those modes are usually pretty bad for XP, except for that one time where I think Clash had a very similar contract bug of its own. The kills aren't worth as much, and I felt they were harder to get than in Plunder, if anything, with the big side-v-side going on. But I can't predict what other modes they may add. Alright, hope you learned something from all that. You're ready to get out there and rank up your guns in Warzone. As soon as the game is in a playable state for more people, of course. I'd love to have audio more than a third of the time. At least my map loads in, I guess. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.